I think I would break it down in a way where I think coaches, the biggest changes that coaches have made is really focused around the training week. So let's say it's Monday to Friday for the trainings and then Saturday's the game or the Sunday's the game. But I think the training week is where I've seen the most change. I think there's so much more now for coaches to think about, to deliver, to analyse, from session designs to tactical morphologies, analysis, data, etc., periodization. I think coaches are having to master those areas and include them and incorporate them into their daily routines and into their players and teams and coaching staff's routines as well, and trying to master all of those things and improve those things, learn about those things, have accelerated extreme amounts over the last 10 years. I think you have to have that as a skill set now as a coach, where being able to come up with, utilize a certain aspect of those things I talked about and deliver them at a high level. I think there's so much information now for coaches to try and take on board and include into their trainings, into the week of the trainings. But then on the flip side of that, I think what's probably not accelerated as much as that over the last decade is then the match day understanding. Because I think that those questions on a match day are still the same as they were 10, 20, 30 years ago. What do I do on a match day? How do I intervene? How do I communicate? Who do I communicate with? What am I actually looking for within the game? I think that hasn't accelerated as much as the Monday to Friday, the trainings for coaches. So I think it's kind of a balance. We're accelerating really, really well as coaches to master the week, the trainings and how they're delivered and formatted. But I still feel there's a big gap in terms of how we're adapting or improving on our match day skills. So yeah, I think over the last decade, the Monday to Friday, the trainings has definitely changed, as I said. But I don't think that the match day learning, the same thought process or the same, let's say, analysis and the fine detail and what am I supposed to do, how am I supposed to deliver it on a match day are at the same levels. So that's an interesting area to see. It's part of my work, which I'm doing with Soccer Profile in terms of my match day leadership course, because I don't believe there's enough training for coaches around match day. Because ultimately, as coaches, we're defined by our results, especially at the professional levels. But even if you're not at the professionals, from a development point of view, from grassroots to the youth levels, okay, it's not so much about the results, but results are still key because players want to win, players want to be competitive. But how do we take what we may be really good at from Monday to Friday, and how do we adapt that into our match day? How do we then bring the Monday to Friday out on a Saturday? How do we ensure that that comes out? So I think that learning needs to catch up with the changes that we've seen from the Monday-Friday trainings over the last decade.